All right, good morning. Thank you for joining us today. This press conference is to provide an update regarding the Saugus High School shooting that occurred yesterday. Up first is going to be Alex Villanueva, Sheriff of Los Angeles County.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to provide you an update of the tragic events from yesterday. And first and foremost, I want to extend my condolences to the families and the victims all involved. And our thoughts and prayers go out to everyone. We've reached out to the families of the 6 victims, and 5 of them have do not want to release information to date. They're still trying to reach far-flung relatives, so we're holding off on that. However, the family of one of the deceased has provided that information, and we're sad to report that Gracie Mule Berger, a female, 15 years of age, was the one who succumbed yesterday at 9:23 in the morning from her injuries. And her parents, Cynthia and Brian, obviously devastated, and we're with them. And it's a tough day here in Santa Clarita. So we have, as we have more information on the other victims, we can release that. But to date, we're going to respect their privacy. We're not going to go there. The suspect condition still remains critical and hasn't changed, and for that, we'll hold off. This is a tough day when you think about it. I'm a father, I'm a grandfather. My grandchildren are the same age of the ones who were victim of this senseless act of violence. It still remains a mystery why. So I just want to encourage everyone, grab your kid, hold them a little tighter, and make sure they do the right things when they're in school. And if, God forbid, they haven't, in this type of circumstances, follow the directions. Run. If you can't run, hide. If you can't hide, then you do something. You fight back. And the kids in the school yesterday did all of the above. They did as they were trained. We had an active shooter drilled just in the last few weeks at the school, and we had evidence that the kids ran as they were told to run. Kids barricaded themselves. They sheltered in place. They covered the windows, propped the doors shut, and they did exactly as they were trained, and that definitely assisted. And then when the time came to provide aid to those who were injured, they took them in and they provided first aid while they were waiting for our first responders. So kudos to all of them for a job well done, and hopefully that's a job we never have to do again. Now I want to bring Captain Ken Wergener to provide us an update on the status of the investigation, and we also have some updates from our special agent from the ATF, Special Agent Canino. Let's start with Captain Wergener. Antes de empezar eso, déjeme ofrecer información en español. El pésame lo extendemos a todas las víctimas, todas las familias de los fallecidos y los que quedaron heridos. Y reportamos que la niña de 15 años, Gracie Mule Berger, fue la que falleció ayer. Es estudiante de la escuela Saugus, escuela secundaria. Sus papás, Cynthia y Brian, obviamente, están sufriendo la pérdida de su hija, y estamos nosotros ofreciendo todo el apoyo que podamos. El sospechoso sigue en estado crítico en el hospital y no tengo nada de ofrecer en diferencia en eso. Tenemos información nueva y el detective de homicidios, el capitán Ken Wegner, va a ofrecer esos datos, y también el agente del ATF especial, el agente Canino, va a ofrecer más detalles con respecto a la investigación de eso. Y para nosotros tenemos información que todos los niños en la escuela hicieron toda la capacitación que ya se había dado recientemente. Los que pudieron correr, huir del peligro, lo hicieron como fueron entrenados. Los que no pudieron huir se enforzaron dentro de las escuelas para prevenir que un sospechoso entrara a la escuela. Cubrieron las ventanas con papel para prevenir ver las personas dentro de la clase. Hicieron todo lo que tenían que hacer en su entrenamiento, y es una prueba de que ese tipo de capacitación sirve un propósito muy bueno. Y queremos extender las gracias a todos los que hicieron todo lo posible para ayudar a los afectados en esto. Y ahora voy a cambiar al inglés. And let me switch to English now, and Captain Wegner.
Good morning, Captain Kent Wegener from Sheriff's Homicide. I wanted to update you on the investigation as we know it today at 12 o'clock. I referred yesterday in the press conference to an Instagram account that we were attempting to verify whether it did or did not belong to the subject in this shooting. After working with Facebook overnight, we have determined that the account was not linked to the subject. The account was subsequently deactivated by Facebook for violation of its Facebook rules. I can't get into at this point where it originated. Suffice it to say that it was out of the country. We continue to work with Facebook to identify any further accounts that may belong to the suspect, and we have search warrants pending on that. To date, we have conducted over 40 interviews, and we have about 6 pending. At this point, after evaluating the information obtained from those interviews and from the various sources and the scenes of our investigation, no motive or rationale has yet been established for the subject's assault. Suffice it to say, we did not find any manifesto, any diary that spelled it out, any suicide note, or any writings which will clearly identify his motive behind this assault. We have conducted, as I said, over 40 interviews. However, I want to reiterate that if there are people out there, students or administrators, people that had information about this subject or the incident yesterday, please call Sheriff's Homicide at 323-890-5500 so that we can arrange an interview with you and we can learn what you know. The firearm used in this assault is currently at the Sheriff's Crime Lab. We will be collaborating with agents from the ATF to research and analyze that weapon as well as its origin. The main crime scene where the assault occurred in the quad at Saugus High School has been processed. All evidence has been collected and documented. In fact, a 3D scan was performed this morning to document the entire crime scene, and it has just been cleaned by a cleaning company and released back to the school district so that it can be occupied. I understand that school is canceled for the day, so hopefully somebody from the school district can talk about future plans for next week. And that's all I have right now, and I'd like to introduce somebody from the ATF to comment.
Sheriff, thank you. Thank you, Captain. My name is Carlos Canino. I'm the Special Agent in charge of the ATF Los Angeles Field Division. I just want to briefly discuss what ATF's role in these types of incidents are, what we did yesterday to assist our partners at the Sheriff's Office, and where we're at now. So ATF's role in these types of incidents is to assist the local jurisdiction in ascertaining where weapons, or the weapon in this case, originated from. We do that in any of these mass shootings or school shootings. That's ATF's primary role in these types of incidents. What we did yesterday was agents responded immediately to the scene. Some of our agents integrated with sheriff's deputies and trying to locate suspect, and we integrated with the homicide unit in trying to identify the origins of that firearm. ATF traced 6 firearms, which all have been accounted for. We have provided that information to the Sheriff's Office. As we speak right now, ATF agents are at the Sheriff's Office Crime Lab working with Sheriff's personnel there and trying to identify the origins of this gun. Once that happens, obviously the Sheriff will brief you as to the origins of that firearm. And that's where we're at as far as ATF goes in this investigations. Thank you.
Okay, next up to the podium is going to be the Mayor of Santa Clarita, Marcia McLean.
Hi, good afternoon. This morning, as we all woke up, we all felt that it is now a reality in our city as to what happened. I want to acknowledge the bravery of the students of Saugus High School who went through this and those that came to their aid. We are a very tight-knit, family-oriented community, and we are all family. And when something happens to one of us, we all feel it as well. This has had a very far-reaching occasion for our entire city. As I speak to our residents, we are all feeling what happened, and the entire community has been affected. I do have some information that I want to give to our community. To begin the healing process, we will be gathering as a community this Sunday night at Central Park at 7 p.m. Central Park is located at 27150 Bouquet Canyon Road in Santa Clarita. This vigil will be a chance for all of us to heal together, to support each other, and to stand as a community united. We will be providing lights in the blue and silver of Saugus High School, so please do not bring candles. It's not necessary. You will all be having a light in silver and blue to commemorate and to celebrate Saugus High School. For more information on this vigil, please visit the city's Facebook page at City of Santa Clarita. In addition, we want you to know the city has postponed our annual tree lighting ceremony in Old Town Newhall, Light Up Main Street, to next Saturday evening, November 23rd. We are working closely with the William S. Hart Union High School District, our public safety officials, our local hospitals, faith-based organizations, and other local agencies to provide the resources our community needs to heal. We are in the process of launching a website that will be a central landing place for all resources, support organizations, and information for our community. The website will be launched later today and will be located at saugusstrong.org. That's .org. I encourage all of you who are sharing messages of support on social media to use the united hashtag SaugusStrong. We have a lot to process, obviously, in the coming days, weeks, and months, but we will get through this all together. We are Santa Clarita, and we are Saugus Strong. Thank you.
Back up to the podium is going to be Sheriff Alex Villanueva.
As I mentioned yesterday, the first responders on scene were off-duty peace officers. And I have with me today Detective Danielle Finn. Where are we? Come up. And Deputy James Callahan. Detective Finn is a Santa Clarita right here, a station detective. And Deputy James Callahan is our school resource deputy for Santa Clarita. And what they did yesterday was extraordinary, along with Officer Sean Yanez from Inglewood PD and Officer Gus Ramirez from LAPD. So if you have any questions of them, please feel free to reach out to them, and they're willing to answer any questions or any question you may have of us today. That was, I was getting information from the site, from the hospitals, and from the investigators on scene, because we had eyewitnesses at the shooting, and we also had the description and from the video. Once they reviewed the video, we matched the video with the individuals in the hospital, and then that's we were able to determine that was our suspect. And we wanted to, as soon as we wanted that information out, we got it out because we didn't want panic to continue spreading because we already had a suspect in custody.
How quickly were investigators able to see that surveillance video to be able to put this all together? Within a half hour.
Within a half an hour.
Sheriff, we've been told that the shooter shot his ex-girlfriend and her best friend, and that the boys were not specifically targeted. Can you confirm that?
No, that is not accurate. As far as we know, that the actual targets were at random. There's no relationship that we can tell from the suspect and the victims.
Was this a planned attack? Any evidence of how long he waited?
See,
Was there any evidence that he's been planning this for a while, or it seems like a planned attack? A certain amount of bullets. What can you tell from that?
we know it was a planned attack. It was deliberate. He knew how many rounds he had, for example. However, the details we don't have that yet, or the motive we don't have it yet. We're still going through all of the evidence that we've gathered from the multiple sources. Y en español, con las redes sociales, no hemos determinado una causa o un motivo para este ataque. The 6 firearms were firearms that were registered from the deceased father. And we've accounted for all 6, and they do not match the weapon recovered. So that is an ongoing part of the investigation, is the origin of that weapon. No.
And were the 6 that were taken from the home, were they locked up and compromised?
We've accounted for all of them.
Can you describe those firearms?
I'll leave that up to the investigators, and once we have all the information, we've done an analysis of the firearm recovery, we'll be able to give all those details.
Sheriff, Valencia High School is warning their students and parents that there are threats against that high school on Monday. Are you aware of that?
We've, unfortunately, anytime there's an incident like this, there is copycat threats that are posted online, and we have an obligation to do a thorough assessment of every single threat available, and that is an ongoing process. So if one pops up here or there, it's not surprising, but we'll make sure that we do a thorough investigation, we vet the source, and if there's any actionable knowledge we can derive from that, then we will act on that. No está registrado al papá.
How would you describe the skill level of the shooting of the
Well, in 16 seconds, he cleared a malfunction and was able to shoot 5 people and himself. So he seemed very familiar with firing the weapon.
How many rounds did he fire off? Did he hit each?
It appears that he hit just about every with 1 round at least. That is still part of the investigation. We're trying to ascertain that.
Was there anything in the surveillance video that made it appear he was saying something during this attack or before or after?
It doesn't appear he had any interaction with anyone. He was just standing by himself. At one point walked to the center of that quad area, dropped the backpack, withdrew with the firearm, and just started firing right from where he was at. Nothing at this time. It still remains a mystery.
Someone changed his life recently, slipping of his grades and a breakup, another death in the family.
We're going through all of that information, but to date, nothing has jumped out that we have an oh my God moment. I think we got it. Nothing yet. How's that? That'll be part of the process, yes.
Is he still in, as you said, in critical but grave condition? Is he expected to survive?
He's in critical condition, and that's about all we know for now.
Sheriff, does it appear that the mother was aware her son had access to these firearms? And second, do you know how the suspect got to school yesterday?
The suspect was dropped off at school by his mother.
And was she aware that he had access to the guns, that he was bringing a handgun?
Not to my knowledge.
So she didn't think he had access to guns in the house?
And not to my knowledge.
Were they hidden in the house, or how are they secured?
There were several firearms recovered from the house. We've accounted for all of the firearms that were registered to the father. Beyond that, we're going to have to go through and finish the investigation to account for all of the firearms and match them up with the source and the relationship with the weapon that we recovered at the scene.
So he only had one weapon with him at the school. You have a total of 7 weapons recovered. 6 from the house and 1 from the
There were several firearms recovered from the house. However, they are not of the ones that were registered to the father. Some of these firearms were not registered at all. In critical condition, yes.
Sheriff, can you confirm that the suspect may be
According to state law, the welfare institution codes, we do not release the names of minors. That is state law.
We're gonna take 3 more questions.
No, he did not.
How did you know that it was planned?
Based on the totality of circumstances, the way he was firing his weapon, he was counting his rounds. It appeared he knew exactly what he had. Bringing that weapon on campus to begin with, and it wasn't a spur of the moment act.
Did anyone report him saying anything, Sheriff?
Huh?
Report him saying anything prior to firing?
No,
He said nothing.
nothing.
How many rounds were fired, Sheriff?
Approximately 6 rounds.
Sheriff, may we hear from the first responders?
Yes. Yes. Come on.
Questions?
Can you just describe what it was like? Who were you dropping off, and how did this all go down for you?
I was on my way to work. I was dropping off my girlfriend's son at school. And as I passed the school, I saw what I estimated to be several hundred students running off campus. I drove into the school circle, contacted one of the students, asked what was going on. He said there were gunshots on campus. I notified the sheriff's station, and then I started to enter campus, at which time I was joined by an off-duty Inglewood police officer. There were no students. Most of the students, the vast majority of them already either exited campus or been safely secured in a building. As I came around the administration building into the quad area, I observed 3 of the victims laying on the ground. No. I'm sorry, ma'am? I wasn't aware of who the shooter was at that time. Myself and the Inglewood officer, and then an additional off-duty LAPD officer joined us, along with the school administrator, and we began to give medical aid to all 3 of the victims until the arrival of the fire department.
Were you the first one to reach the victim?
Yes, sir, I was.
Did you realize that one of them was a shooter?
There were suspicions, but there was nothing conclusive at that time.
Did you see the gun on the ground?
Yes.
Was it next to what we now know as the shooter?
Not directly next to him, no.
What led you to believe that you may have been dealing with the shooter?
I'm sorry, ma'am? I'll be honest, my main concern then was securing the scene, treating the victims, and trying to make sure there wasn't an additional shooter on campus.
Did you try and help the victims medically?
Yes, we did.
Can you explain how that went?
I had one of the administrators, prior to being a detective, I was a school resource deputy at Valencia High School, so I'm aware they have medical aid bags. So I had him retrieve the medical aid bags from the main office. He brought them out, and we started assessing their wounds and trying to pack the wounds and stabilize them.
Were any of them speaking at all?
No.
And what led you to believe that you might have, in fact, I know you didn't know for sure at the time, but what led you to suspect that one of the people on the ground was the shooter?
I'm going to leave that to homicide as part of their investigation right now.
Can I ask Deputy Callahan, were you in the school building and did you hear the shots?
I actually was en route to Saugus High School. I'm the sheriff resource deputy at Saugus High School. I was en route when the call went out.
So you arrived on scene right after.
Within minutes, right when the call went out.
Did you participate
Yeah, I immediately entered the school, contacted Deputy Finn, and saw 3 gunshot victims on the ground. It was a coordinated effort with everybody on scene, Deputy Finn, Detective Finn, the other 2 off-duty officers, and school staff. We did CPR and tried to make sure that we didn't have an active shooter on the campus.
What was that like for your kids?
Very tough, very tough. When you're a school resource deputy, you take a lot of pride in, keeping your campus secure. You never think a tragic things like this is going to happen.
There you were working on students that you see.
Yes, sir. And I'm just glad that the department provided a lot of good training to all the deputies that responded. The response was unbelievable. Fire department, sheriff's department, highway patrol, ATF, etc. Just incredible response. I did not know the shooter. The other 2 I know had already ran to classrooms. I don't know where the 3rd one went. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Yeah, I think they came out of the administration building. Yes, sir. Well, I mean, having those supplies on hand was definitely a plus. And the other thing is we had just done training, like the sheriff had said, and I think the kids did a great job, did everything we trained them to do.
Deputy, the 3 who were down and you tried to assist, were they all together?
Yeah, they were within close proximity of each other. Yes, sir.
All right.
All right, good.
All right, we're going to conclude this press conference. Thank you for coming.
Can you spell the names of the deputy detectives?
The detective is Dan Finn, Finn, and the deputy is James Callahan, Callahan.
Sheriff.